All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to premarketinfo.com, where we get to report all the government intervention to support this market.
Yeah, China cutting interest rates today. It seems like everybody's colluding here to drive the markets higher. When the markets are in trouble, the government can always come and help out, Joel.
Yeah, a little hint of QE3 or Europe with monetary easing. It really sparks a rally in the markets, in the thin overnight markets. Taking a quick look at the S&Ps, barely got below the close. Our low stands at 1314.50. Dennis, I don't see much resistance up here in the June contract to the 6 and 7 day highs at 1334 and a quarter.
Been a heck of a run here. Heck of a 2-day run, Joel. Actually going to be a 3-day run if we do indeed close up today, being up 10 points. So market starting to bounce, catching a few shorts. Not sure if it's going to hold up here or not.
Yeah, I'm kind of sorry I taught you how to buying all those bank stocks the other day. I'm like,
I should beat on you for that, Joel. I was like, I love that JP Morgan. I'm going to start nibbling even into my investment portfolio here a little bit just a couple days ago. And then Joel says and gets me all concerned that we may be going into another financial crisis and I don't buy anything. And lo and behold, JP Morgan's rallied $2 since I thought about it.
How about this 2 day move in Morgan Stanley, Dennis? We got down to the low of the move, or close to the low of the move at 11.58.
Wow.
Lo and behold, you get a little pop. Trading over $14 right now, but that looks like pretty good resistance.
That is an unbelievable move here, Joel. Unbelievable. In 2 days, stock can go from 12 and a quarter up to 14.05, which is where it's trading at in the pre-market. Crazy move. This just shows you what can happen when you're squeezing those shorts. Like we were saying yesterday, sometimes what goes down like an escalator goes up like an elevator because of short squeezes. It does look like some resistance here, but we start getting above this 14. We have marched down from $22, Joel, when we were back there, or 21. Try to grab the high for you. 21.17 back in late March, down to 12. I mean, this thing has room to continue to run, so don't think it just has to stop. Probably pullbacks to be bought in this kind of stuff, but I'm always skeptical to buy something after it's just run straight up 15% in 2 days.
Right, and maybe a little bit of this Facebook debacle starting to wear off a little bit. Obviously, the stock was in a major sell-off mode before that, but all the negative publicity associated with that kind of was like the final push to get it down. But let's get a couple closes over 14 just for our listeners. 14.15 has been the high in the pre-market. You had some lows in the mid-14s back in the May 14th and 15th. So keep an eye on that level.
Yeah, Morgan Stanley moving. Everyone else is moving too. These financials really strong. Look at the move in Bank America here yesterday. This is incredible, Joel. We talked about it the day before saying, well, maybe you could argue double bottom here. Man, everybody's taking off and buying this thing. It's trading 777 right now. Look at the 2-day move in this. The stock basically was at $7 2 days ago, got to 776 up to, and 776 is trading right there, right near yesterday's high, Joel, right now here in the pre-market.
Yeah, you got to figure there's going to be some size to chew through there at $8. Dennis topped out back there on May 7th. Just size. I mean, not a big number there, but expect a little bit of resistance there. Above that level, I'm looking easily to see 820. But yeah, good run at Bank America. Just for our listeners, and look at this formation here as it came down to a whole number 7. Hung out around there, gave you 3, 4, 5, 6 shots to buy it at that level, and then you get to move up. Just a quick note: this has traded 1 million shares in the pre-market, so that is pretty good volume.
Big volume on these banks. They're just getting driven higher here again this morning. Goldman too, Joel. Check it out. Had a good move yesterday. Is falling through a bit here today. No volume here, but it is trading up again. I'd expect it to be strong as well. And Citigroup too, just to look at. It had a great move here yesterday too. Could almost argue the double bottom in the City too from 2 days ago, where you bottomed out at 24.60 24.61, and then the next day you bottomed out right at 24.74. So you had two bottoms there. Stock's been straight up ever since. We are running into a couple of highs from before in Citigroup, but this one's off to the races too.
Yeah, look, we're currently trading 27.58, way considerably above yesterday's high. Looking at the pre-market activity, Dennis, really just kind of consolidating here around the 27.58. 70,000 shares have traded a decent amount of stock. I do see a high at 27.70 back on May 22nd, so maybe stalling out here a little bit, but really this thing has come down from over 38 bucks, Dennis. So take back 50% of that would be nothing.
Bernanke is talking today too, so keep that in mind if you are trading these stocks. Sometimes he'll say something could drive them higher or lower, so there could be some fundamental news coming out just from Bernanke's mouth during the regular session. What about these oils, Joel? You were getting a little bit concerned about ExxonMobil. Well, I don't know what happened, but it just took off like a bat out of hell. $80.90 is continuing in the pre-market to go higher. Hung out here for 3 days, but yesterday, boom, blew through the 80, isn't even looking back. We started breaking down from 82. We are only a buck 20 away from there right now. I'm not saying it's going there today, but man, what we always say, when stocks move down in 2 or 3 days, four handles, they can move up very quickly too, and it's retraced 2/3 of these losses.
Yeah, actually, on the show yesterday, I talked about this double top at 78 and a quarter, 78.29, and even though the SPOOs were up quite a bit, you did get a chance to buy that thing under that level. Once it got through there, it was off to the races. I was looking at resistance in this, Dennis. 81.38 is the 6-day high. We're only about 40 cents away from there. Looking at the pre-market activity, we're just kind of consolidating here at 80.90. I'm sure there's a decent seller in the book at 81, but 81.38. If you're looking at this for an exit of a long trade, I'd like 81.38.
And Chevron too had a similar move yesterday. Actually, is trading above the 100 psychological level this morning, trading at 125. 133 bid. You got a couple tops here though. Just looking here, you got a top there 185. You got a top at 168. If we could replay the shows from back then, I think what we were saying is every time this thing seems to sniff above 100, it seems to get beat back down. Well, we're above 100 here again, Joel. Is that going to happen again?
Dennis, this thing had a similar formation to the ExxonMobil, busted through a double top, but actually this was a little bit tougher one to play because it gapped above that area, and who likes buying gaps? But blew through the 97.30 level. I mean, I don't think you want to stand in the way of this thing, Dennis. With the thin volume, the way it trades, 15, 20-cent spread. Will be some sellers here. You did mention an excellent number at 100.85. That is a 7-day high. Above that level, I'm looking at 101.41.
We do have some movers to talk about here today too, Joel. Let's start with the disaster stock, Men's Warehouse. They came out lowering guidance. Stock is getting absolutely murdered in the pre-market. Another retailer getting murdered here. Down $7. It's trading at 28.81. I've got to go out to the weeklies to try to find you some support here. But man, this stock's breaking down through a lot of levels here. If you go back, you had a low at 26.28 back on November 25th. You also had another low rate before that, or right, a couple days after that, at 27.19. We're a buck and a half away from there. But when something's already fallen $7, it can easily fall another buck. What's your take on Men's Warehouse?
Pretty interesting chart here for the pre-market. 26.42 is a level we hit immediately after the news was released.
Yep.
Got a wicked bounce up to 31. And now we're just, for quite some time here, we've been trading right at this 28.80 level. So someone's making it stand here. Probably someone reeling in a short in this thing. But I'd keep a real close eye on this 28.80 level. If, in fact, they can hold that in the pre-market, I wouldn't be surprised to see a pop up to 31. On the downside, let's keep an eye on that low of 26.42. That was made in the pre-market immediately as the news came out. Looking at the chart, Dennis, I see a low at 27.14. on November 28th, but 26.75 was the low on November 30th. That would be a key level, but just have to warn traders. You saw what happened to that Tempur-Pedic yesterday. It opened up at the high and continued to go down. So
They're not loving
if you,
some of these
yeah,
retailers. Yeah.
if you're gonna try and pick a bottom in these stocks, have an out. Don't fight the tape.
Something I wanted to highlight too, if it really went to sell-off mode and it continued, this $25 area looks like huge support here too. We did cut through it a few times in July, but bottoming at 24.63, I actually cut through quite a bit of 24.50. Call that whole 24.50, 25 area major support. And that's a long ways away from here, but man, like Joel was saying, these things start rocking and rolling and people start puking. They start just hitting any bid that's there. So don't be surprised if this thing it has the possibilities to trade down to that 25 level today. I don't think it will, but it is possible. So you want to be careful if you're picking bombs. If you're picking bombs at 28.80, you could be too early, at least on the Tempur-Pedics action yesterday. Another retailer in the news, though, Joel, Lululemon's yoga pants seller, getting rocked here, Joel. $62. Try to give you some support. What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, well, Dennis, I mean, haven't you bought a new pair of yoga pants lately? I mean,
all
what's
these
going on?
all these specialty retailers that sell like one product, like, and they have PE multiples of 30, 40. Like, I mean, Lululemon's supposed to make $1.50 next year. The stock's trading at $62. Like, is that like, the whole future of retail yoga pants? I mean, it's cool and everything. I appreciate what they offer, but at the same time, multiples of 25 PE multiples, 30, 35 on specialty retailers just seem way too high. And this is what happens when the stock disappoints just a little bit. They rock them. They beat those stocks up. So, and it's trading at $62 right now.
Have you ever done yoga?
No, you know what? Actually, I was doing that P90X thing a couple years ago with that Tony guy. Man, I hate that Tony guy yelling at you on the screen, but it's the videotapes, and I was putting it in. And the one session was yoga, and it was an hour and a half. And I will tell you, man, that I was just, you realize how bad of shape you're in when you try to do that. You're doing these like, I don't remember what all the stupid moves were called, but man, you're sitting there trying to hold a position for like 30 seconds, and you're just burning, your legs are burning. I'm like, I'm gonna break my back doing this stuff. So I give props to everybody who can do that on a regular basis because I tried a couple times and my body just can't handle that, Joel.
I went to yoga class once.
Okay.
Yeah, and I fell asleep.
You fell asleep. Well, they did the
Yeah,
meditating and they fell
I
asleep
don't
doing
know.
the
Yeah, I just
meditating.
was like, and you can't win. How can you win in yoga? I mean, I like to play Chinese checkers. I like to golf. I like
Can't
to be
win.
competitive. There's nothing competitive about yoga at all.
It's competitive
So,
to
with
who has
that
a better
being said,
body.
Lululemon's one heck of a short here. But we did hit 59.99 in the pre-market. Nice round number like 60 has held us up here. Getting a lot of consolidation around the $62 level. I think if we do get anywhere near 60, that should be excellent support. Looking back at the charts, Dennis, you'd had this thing gapping up in mid-January from that area, 59, 88, and 87. Held as some lows in early January. So I like that $60 level. I mean, if you've been short just saying and taking heat and the big climb up and everything, this is a little bit of a gift. But under 60, Dennis, look at that gap it has to fill down to 54.08. So
Ooh.
60 is the level.
All right, 60 is the level on that one. Gonna bring you up a chart on Starbucks here. Starbucks is actually, believe it or not, in the news, and they're saying they're going to offer $1 coffee at some of their kiosks. Now, I just want to play a clip from from our show a few days ago. I wonder, I'm just going to play the clip here just for you. 1 second.
How long will people pay $4 for a cup of coffee? Is a question that we
This
have.
is what I questioned, way back in the day. So this was our show from Wednesday where we were talking about Starbucks and basically saying, how long is it going to be that that people are going to pay $4 for a cup of coffee? Do you think Starbucks executives are listening to our show, Joel?
Well, if they're smart, they are, and I
Because funny, the next day they come out and they start announcing $1 coffee because we go off saying, "Oh, we like Dunkin' Donuts because we can go there and buy our coffee for a buck." And the next day they saying they're offering dollar coffee at kiosks. Starbucks is listening to us, Joel. Starbucks is listening.
Yeah, they're trading in the pre-market, probably trying to sell some of their stock here. But we highlighted a level too, Dennis, when we talked about Starbucks. We highlighted 51.50,
Yep.
and 3 days ago it got down to 51.49. I was talking about that a little bit for long-term investors. So that's an area on the downside you just have to keep an eye on. If it gets back down there again, it could be trouble. Going on the upside, Dennis, it looks like there's not much resistance in this thing. You did have a double top right around the $54 area, so we're bumping up against that right now. After that, looks like another buck up to 55. Looking at the pre-market activity, not much volume is traded, just hanging out here at 53.89. But we'll have to see how this thing if it can clear the $54
Yeah,
level.
I love that double bottom now in place. So I'm because they were listening to our show, Joel. I'm not nearly as bearish as I was before.
Can I just, you know what I get when I go to those places?
What's
I
that?
get like a triple shot of espresso, and they charge me like a buck 50.
Well, that's not
You know?
bad. That's not
Yeah,
bad.
I don't get that $4 cappuccino, frappy, whatever that stuff is. I mean, I go for the bang. I think they call it. Uh, they have some kind of name for it. It's like the Midnight Bomber or something like that. That's what I get.
And then
Buck
that's what
50.
gets you wired here for the show, eh, Joel?
Exactly.
Navistar in the news too. NAV stock is actually announced earnings, cutting guidance. Here's another one getting rocked. Not on a lot of volume though, so we always talk about volume on the show. Only 3,200 shares traded. Has traded at 25 bucks. If we look at this low here, you had a 25.50 low just from a few days ago, so it's kind of trading a bit below that. Take you out to the weeklies. Oh, that's the weekly low there too, Joel. Joel likes the monthlies. Maybe he can find you support.
Yeah, 25. I'm looking at the pre-market, Dennis, here. Spotty trades all over the place. You had a 24 low. Really, no one's stepping up to the plate in this stock at all. Looking at the monthlies, Dennis. Whoa, we are getting low here. 22 and a quarter was the low that we had back in March of '09. Not sure if we're going to see that, but Dennis, this is the kind of chart that Wall Street analysts will come out and like give an upgrade on.
Well, if they're value investors, Joel, I guess that's the idea. Buy low, sell high. I hate it worse when they upgrade the thing at 70, or there probably was an analyst or two that would upgrade at 70, and then you watch the thing go down to 22. So at least they're trying the whole buy low, sell high thing, Joel.
What
Any,
else we got moving
we've
today?
got a few other ones. SJM, which is JM Smucker. Not a lot of trades here, actually none to report. It is bid up though, and they did report earnings, so I just want to highlight that. Obviously, 76.55. So it is bid up. Joel had a good move yesterday from a whole bottoming area right down in the low 74s. If this thing really gets off the races, 78 bucks I think is a real good number here for possible resistance.
Yeah, 76.33 was yesterday's high, Dennis, and going back a few days, you had a high at 76.31. If in fact it can bust through, it's wide open up to 77.56. Coming back on the downside, you've had a lot of consolidation and few lows here at 74.33 to 74.50. So if it does interpret news as bad news, excellent support at 74.50.
I want to highlight one more, and we're going to run out of time. Molina Healthcare, which is MOH. This thing is getting murdered here in the pre-market. They pulled their full year guidance, saying problems in Texas. I guess they have big operations in Texas. So that stock is trading at 19.60 right now, Joel. $19.60. It had a heck of a move up since October, but giving back a lot of that today. If you go back though into I think it was November. I'm trying to get the date on this low here, Joel. 1921 was a low on November 25th. We're at 1960 right now, but if we get below that, we have air there again, Joel. They're saying a couple other of the healthcare stocks that are exposed here to Texas is CNC, so Centene, and they're also saying CI, which is Cigna. So keep an eye on those. Those may have some sympathy moves. They both are trading down in the pre-market as well. What's your take on the MOH?
little bit of a bounce here, believe it or not, for our listeners that are looking at a stock that's down 6.5 bucks. You're saying
Bounce.
I see an uptrend. It hit 1803
Did
when the
it?
news. Yeah, it
Oh
did. It did.
man.
So and it traded more than a few shares down there. Since it's hit that 1803, it's been on a steady climb to 1975. A couple tops there in the pre-market, so I would keep an eye on that 1975 to 20 area. If in fact it gets above 20, all bets are off on the short side. Coming back, I'm sure people are will be salivating if we get anywhere near this $18 level, because 1803 was the overnight low.
That's all we've got time for today, Joel. Any closing thoughts on this market?
Well, they tacked on another 10 points in the S&Ps, Dennis, pretty easily. It's kind of hard to just go into this, just shorten these once this trend gets going. I will look for a pullback to the 1320 level here to perhaps a nibble on along. On the upside, Dennis, I just don't see any major resistance till 1334 and a quarter. That's our show for today, folks, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.